Our next case study is in Parramatta. It's 100 George Street. It's a building which has changed itself dramatically in the last 2 years. It's a very good case study of the potential for repositioning assets. Hendri, Rahardja, Manager Director for Solid Property Group, will be presenting the case study to you today. So welcome, Hendri.
Not the easiest name to pronounce, is it? I was born in Jakarta, Indonesia. I grew up in Singapore and I made Australia my home. And it's a privilege to be here today to share with you what we've just gone through in our refurbishment of 100 George Street in Parramatta. And here we go. Well, a little bit about Rahardja Property Group. We are an Australian company. We deal mostly with a lot of overseas investors in Asia who would like to invest in Australia. Our focus is within the commercial asset management sector, which includes project management, facilities management, properties management, and so on. So let's have a look at 100 George Street was about 12 months ago. This is 100 George Street. Used to be called the McNamara Centre. It was built in the early 80s by Bill McNamara and acquired by Valbeat Pty Limited in 1991. It has a net lettable area of slightly over 10,000 square meter, 12 levels of office space with 732 square meter of floor plate. It's got ground floor retails, 3 levels of plant rooms, solar panels on the north facing rooftop, basement car parking, loading dock, and 4 lifts. So it's a pretty well designed building for that time. In the 80s, it was definitely a structure to behold for many years. And everybody know in Parramatta what McNamara Centre looked like. As the building grew older, as the years progressed, many things happened along the way. Plant and equipment started to break down. Replacement parts were increasingly difficult to get. Repairs and maintenance costs increased rapidly. Energy usage costs increased due to poor efficiency. I would like to talk about how the building that was designed a long time ago has a lot of problems. Like we have this problem in 100 George Street before, where the AC was not designed to basically segregate different levels as they need. For example, if I've got a tenant coming in on level 1 on a weekend, we have to switch on the entire building of aircon. So that was a major problem for us. And then our tenants were becoming annoyed because there were a lot of breakdowns along the way. And then the tenant retention was affected, rental became stagnant. We were staying at about $300 a square meter for many years because of this problem. And building was losing a sense of appeal even to prospective tenants who were looking for space to rent. The building was actually downgraded from B to C grade, and vacancy was becoming a major problem. And what were some of the choices that has to be made by the owner of the building? Well, they can either do the same old path, do a band-aid solution, fix the problem when it occurred, and as they would go, or they can upgrade bits and pieces along the way over a period of years, or they could immediately spend the money to upgrade the building in its totality. Now, some of the concerns that they had was, number one is the cash flow, because all these investors that we're dealing with, they're from overseas, and Australian currency is very strong. So obviously, having that much of money, need to bring that much of money coming to Australia is a major problem for them. So they can't do that. And then the timing, they were thinking when was the good timing to do these kind of things. You know, we were quite fortunate at, you'll see a bit later, how we actually got our timing really right for this project. And of course, the returns and the opportunities, what are they and how can we quantify that? So after presenting them with all these options, they decided to go ahead with the second option, which is let's upgrade bits and pieces along the way. Now the first things that we talk about is the AC. AC is one of the major components. You see that AHU and the chiller comprises almost 67% of the function in the building. And we had a lot of problems with our AC system. We noticed that the chiller was just not functioning well. We had the chiller replaced. And then the cooling tower were having a lot of problems due to age, and we had them replaced. But there were also other things that are quite interesting as we searched along the way. After replacing all this equipment, we noticed that the airflow, some of the parts of the building were also experiencing bad airflow. It's like sauna in there. And as we searched further, we realized that if you look at the picture at the bottom corner, that's actually what they call the metering plate. Because of the design of the building in the past, they didn't have like damper at the time. They used what they call the metering plate, where you have this place full of holes, and you just put a piece of metal over it, so you control the amount of airflows that come into the tenancy. Well, obviously, as the building usage varies over time, you have so much more heat load. You can't have those things anymore. So we actually strip out the entire. We open up everything and take out all the metering plates, and then that's when we started finding improvement in the building. Then obviously we replaced the lifts as well, which are the major components that's being used in the building. We replaced the controls, the drivers, and we tried to reduce costs along the way, and it did for us. It provided smoother rides for our tenants and reduced the breakdowns along the way. And then the next thing that we replaced is the bathroom. These are the bathrooms are obviously one of the highly used area within the building, and we observed how the water usage was very, very high. And at the time, we said, let's do something with the toilet, and because the system that we had before, it just flushed periodically, whether there's anybody or not, so it flushed throughout the night as well when there's nobody. And that was creating a lot of problem with the usage of water. And so when we had the opportunity to modernize it, we actually use all the low flows gadgets there is, not only modernizing the look, but also the functionality of the bathroom. After we've done all those things, we expected things to improve, right? And we spent quite a great deal of money already, and quite a few $1 million, but did we see improvement? No, unfortunately not. And the image is still the same. It was the same old 100 George Street. And it didn't help at all with the marketing, even though we improved everything inside. So we come back to the reality that we have to do something on the outside of the building. When we were sort of like contemplating the project, there were a lot of things that we are looking at. One is obviously the sustainability side of things. Secondly, we're talking about how the aesthetic of the building will impact the attractiveness of the building. We need to get the tenants back to want to come back into our building. And we talk about the efficiency, how much energy can we save. We talk about the timing. Do we do it now? Do we do it later? And we talk about the funding. Who will budget and how much it's going to cost. We talk about the completion of things. Do we do it while the tenants are there? So they have a lot of considerations to consider. The other one is the methodology. How do we do this in the most efficient and effective way? And so the current design was selected because, first of all, the methodology, we use the cladding system. Cladding is actually the least intrusive method to actually do an upgrade on the facade of the building. It's improved the building in terms of aesthetic. And then the material that we use is the aluminum composite material, which is a very good form of insulator to the building. The color also helped us to reflect the light and the heat away. The cladding system was installed throughout the building. We used the system called the mast climber, where the workers can actually go up and down like lifts during the day, and they stay on the floor that they're working on, so it's not going to be affecting all the other tenants. There were a lot of time where we had to consider whether should we use the swing stage or should we use the scaffold, but mast climber came out the best. And then the budget, and this is actually the most efficient way of doing it in the shortest period of time. And then the AC, just come back a little bit. We were fortunate to actually get a government grant for our project, where we can introduce a new Bauer AC system that used the pressure system, where they actually the temperature sensors, the pressure sensors, and CO2 sensors throughout each floor, and it created air bubble within the tenancy, and that actually helped us to control the temperature very, very well. And then we also noticed that by installing window films throughout the building actually helped to reduce the heat load in the building as well, and make our AC more efficient and not struggle as much. So it is an excellent partnership between the building owner, who was very, very supportive of the project. Great support by Paramedic Council, helping us to get through the DA. We've got reputable consultants, great design that met the requirement that we set, a reputable builder, cooperative tenants. They didn't give us a hard time. In fact, they're very supportive of it. And capable staff members and professional colleagues. And of course, the lucky break that we had from the government. That's a big one. And now, what did we get? We have now achieved 3 long-term tenants since completion, with 7, 10, and 12 years leasehold, and we have a few more negotiations along the way. And the rate of square meter has now increased from an average of $330 to about $400 a square meter. The projected numbers has increased now from 1 before the project started to about 4 and 4.5. At the moment we're exempted, but the test that we got back showed that it's about 4 to 4.5 stars at the moment. It reduced our electricity usage by half in the building, and we're able to actually monitor the energy usage by incorporating BMS with along with a few check meters in the building, and our grade is now gone up to premium B grade. Unfortunately, we cannot be considered as A grade because of the limited floor space in the building. So we're happy with premium B and let the big boys play with the A grade. Now this is the end result of what the building looks like. And you have seen what it was before, which was a pebble-crete facade building, and now you've seen a fully refurbished 100 George Street perimeter. And we are very, very happy that we've gone through the process, and we're thankful for the opportunity to do so. Thank you.